Welcome back to Gruber Motor Company and the Gruber Morning Show. I'm Pete Gruber. Today we're going to talk again about all things EV, alternative energy, entertain questions. We've got our friends from TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and I believe we're bringing LinkedIn online here next session, which is Thursday morning. Again, those of you that are interested in asking questions, please give us your location. People like to hear how far away or what part of the globe some of these questions are coming in from. And if you take issue with any of the content we're presenting, feel free to comment on it, and we'll see if we can insert that into the program as well. One of the first things I wanted to cover, a few years ago, a company by the name of Faraday Futures released or announced a concept sports EV, sports car EV. And I'm telling you, this thing really inspired a lot of people in the EV world that EVs don't have to look like four-door grocery getter sedans. This thing had all of the elements of a serious sports car, lots of carbon fiber, black of course, and it was really a head-turner type concept vehicle. Well, the same company, Faraday Future, is back in the news today. Apparently, they've been working on a luxury electric vehicle. Nothing like that first concept vehicle, by the way. But apparently, they've been the target of a misinformation campaign aimed at disrupting its plans to put the first model into production. Now, this kind of reads like a Greek tragedy, but the company said that this, of course, had a negative impact on its ability to raise capital it needs to move forward. And, but here's the most bizarre part. Apparently, there were even death threats and physical violence threats for some of the members of the board. And they went on and they said that the allegations that were levied were baseless against certain directors, and that there were people within Faraday Futures that were pursuing or conspiring to pursue an unnecessary bankruptcy for their own personal gain. Now, of course, these are all allegations, and who knows what's real and what isn't, but apparently, this has resulted in some lawsuits, and a couple of people on the board of directors have actually left. As of October 7th, it turns out that Sue Swenson, the firm's executive chairperson, as well as Scott Vogel and Jordan Vogel, have officially resigned as directors and all of the other related positions within the company.
Hey, Pete, real quick.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I think, able to pull up those pictures, so let me know when you need those.
Okay, perfect. So we've got some pictures. By the way, speaking of pictures, the one behind me did not get updated, but it's cool anyway. It's a picture that I took in Sedona many years ago. And as I pointed out in the last podcast, those of you that come to Arizona, the Grand Canyon is cool, but I assure you, you may like Sedona better. It's a pretty special place. It has a bit more scenery and definitely full of some of the things that make Arizona special. So continuing with the story about Faraday Future, death threats against board of directors members, but at the same time, the company has received $100 million in additional financing from a couple of companies, Dagwan and ATW Partners. They also weren't doing well financially. They reported August 16th that in the second quarter of 2022, or they reported second quarter of 2022, and it shows that the operating loss was about $137 million, an annual increase of nearly $390,000, or 390%, sorry. Net loss was about $142 million, which is an increase of 168%. Year on year. You know, our view on this is that we need lots more EV producers, and we hope that they can iron out their differences and continue to operate and maybe bring that concept car that inspired a lot of us years ago to fruition. All right, so here's an image we want to show, guys, the Tesla Megapack image.
Is that the Hawaii one?
Yes.
Okay, let me pull
Number one. So Tesla is active in Hawaii, not just with cars, but apparently helping them change their electrical power generating infrastructure. There have been some coal burning plants in Hawaii. And what Tesla has been involved in is the installation of the Tesla Megapack Battery Energy Storage Systems, BESS is the acronym. The company that had been providing power is AES, providing coal power. So what Tesla's solution is an alternative to the energy gap left behind by the shutdown of this coal-powered plant. This large BESS system is now taking over, which of course includes solar, much, much cleaner form of energy. Just to give you a perspective here, there's some statistics about how much pollution these coal-fired plants were creating. The retired AES coal power plant, it says, was the largest greenhouse gas emitter in the state of Hawaii and was alone responsible for releasing 1.5 million metric tons of carbon dioxide annually. Of course, the Tesla solution doesn't have any of these types of problems. And the other cool part about these large megapacks is they are self-contained inverter systems, including DC storage or the lithium-ion battery packs, and an inverter to convert the DC to AC. And it's scalable as well. The capacity is 3 million watts per hour currently with the BESS installation, and they will need 189 megapacks to complete a project at a site called the KES site. What's also interesting about this is, just like the Tesla electric vehicles, the company's energy storage systems, or the Megapack, PowerPack, and Powerwall, also get periodic over-the-air updates. This means that the product automatically gets better over time as new software is downloaded, without any extra cost to the customer. And of course, substantially less pollution, getting rid of those coal-powered plants. The last coal shipment will arrive in Hawaii about the same time as the Tesla Megapack batteries that will enable this 24/7 sustainable energy method of creating power. So we have solar cells, Megapacks, and clean power coming to Hawaii. Do we have any questions so far, guys?
Yeah, we have a couple on the screen.
Okay. We've got an Instagram question from Tesla Ghost 3. Who's the pretty lady? Are we talking about Bob, my co-host? It's okay. I guess in today's world, we could have either gender. But Bob is my co-host. He is actually a placeholder for a new co-host that we're going to have join us next week. And but in the meantime, he is holding down the fort here. And because he is my co-pilot, he has a pilot's hat. Got an Instagram question from WemmyC47. Can I get a job? Yes, we get asked that almost every podcast. We just hired an intern from UTI. His first day was yesterday, and he was excited as could be to be able to work on Tesla Roadsters, battery packs, and learning about what the alternative to internal combustion engine cars is all about. Have a question from TikTok. AMC Dunn. Your partner is asleep. Yes, perhaps behind the sunglasses. No, his eyes are open. He's not sleeping. He's listening intently. We have a YouTube question from Darren N. Hello from Saskatoon, Canada. Welcome, Darren. So it looks like Elon is back in the news with the Twitter issue. And the countdown is now on for Elon and Twitter to close their $44 billion acquisition deal by October 28th. So it appears that Elon was given a bit more time, but not any new options, or it goes back to court. What everybody is waiting for now is for Elon to actually put down the money, to hand over the money for this acquisition. And it says here that even the world's richest man needs a little help for an acquisition of this size. In April, of course, Elon had announced that he had lined up $46 billion in financing for the deal, including 2 debt commitment letters from Morgan Stanley and other unnamed financial institutions, one for $13 billion, the other one for $12 billion. And the latter, which was later reduced to $6.25 million. Musk himself had committed approximately $21 billion in equity to fund the deal. He later raised an additional $7 billion in equity from investors such as Oracle founder Larry Ellison and cryptocurrency firm Binance. Much of the sticking point between Elon and Twitter appears to be over the uncertainty around those financing arrangements. So we're hoping that Elon can fulfill his commitment to purchase Twitter and finally get this out of the news so that we can focus on the broader issues, which is continuing to build Tesla, send rockets to space, and work on the robotics project that Elon is.
Pete, I got a question for you with that.
Got a question there from...
Well, hold on, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So related to that Twitter, we've all seen Elon going crazy on Twitter. Sometimes he just kind of goes on rants and rages a little bit. And he's also said things like if he were to buy it, he would allow certain people back on the platform, like Donald Trump. What do you think will happen with Elon as he makes this purchase and becomes in control of Twitter now?
All right. What do I think will happen to Twitter with Elon at the helm, releasing some of the free speech constraints that have been imposed by Twitter?
Yeah, do you think it's going to distract him from Tesla and SpaceX and stuff like that?
You know, Elon's capacity to handle new things is almost unprecedented. And at least I haven't seen him get too distracted by any venture, which also speaks to a large amount, and we need to mention this, to the team that he's been able to assemble. You know, we have 4 companies here, and I freely admit it's not Pete Gruber running these companies. There are a number of talented people and teams that are the catalysts behind our success. And truly, the same is true within Tesla. So I don't think that it will have a huge impact with Elon getting distracted with a shiny object for a while. And who knows, he may get bored with Twitter, sell it, or let other people run it. But having Donald Trump back on Twitter might be interesting. I think that'll be have some entertainment value.
Definitely entertaining at least, yeah.
All right, we have another image here that I'd like to pop up. And this is an image of what is now the world's fastest EV, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. This one came out of left field, but let me read you part of this. According to the Förderverein, that's a German word, Swiss actually in this case, the Förderverein Green Team in Stuttgart, they have officially set the new Guinness World Record. The team succeeded in its mission world record and has actually received official confirmation from Guinness that it now holds a new record for the quickest accelerating EV ever built. Until recently, the quickest accelerating EV was Tesla's own Model S Plaid, which the automaker said consumed from 0 to 60 in just shy of 2 seconds. And publications have proven that the prospects of actually pulling off that number are slim, requiring very specific conditions and including rollout. Regardless, it's still super impressive. So we also have another EV manufacturer, which is Rimac, with their Navara electric supercar, which is also capable of rocketing to 0 to 60 in fewer than 2 seconds, although it's substantially more expensive than the Tesla Model Plaid, and it's not available in quantity. All right, so can this 2-second 0 to 60 time be beaten? So here we've got this company now with a 381-pound self-developed EV. It's a carbon fiber vehicle. It's a one-seater, and it was developed by the University of Stuttgart with a 20-student green team, which is pretty remarkable. These weren't, seasoned experts in the development of vehicles, but they were students. The all-wheel drive EV, they say, makes just 241 horsepower from its four-wheel hub motors with about a 7.6 kW battery pack. And it pulled off a sprint from 0 to 62 miles, not 60, or 100 kilometers per hour in just 1.461 seconds. And there's a video to prove it. So I suggest if you want more information on this, Google this thing. And there's a unique name for it. They call this thing, let me get it back up here, and they call this thing the itty bitty. And unfortunately, I don't have that in my text here, but that's what you want to look up on Google if you want to see more about this Guinness Book record-breaking fastest EV currently.
Yeah, we brought up the picture for them, the one that looks like a go-kart.
Exactly. The picture there of the go-kart is visible. If you look at the tires on this thing, they look small, you know? Now, I'm not sure I want to be the test driver that does the experimental rocket to 0 to 60 in 1.4 seconds based on the amount of, or the lack of structure around this vehicle.
Now, quick question, Pete, about that.
Yeah.
1.4 seconds, it says 1.461. I think I remember reading somewhere that it's hard to do that production-wise because production tires don't really exist that can handle that, right?
You know, the production tire issue has to do with top speed more than it does with the
acceleration.
0 to 60 times, yeah.
Okay.
Because you get a good sticky tire and, you'll probably wear it out pretty quickly, but it's the top speed because of the centrifugal force. Tires tend to come apart when they're spun too rapidly. Now, just to give you some perspective about what this 1.46 time means, let's take a look at some time-tested, proven fast vehicles like the NHRA Top Fuel Dragsters. These cars can do 0 to 60 in 0.8 seconds, and we've got a picture to pop up there. You can see the flame shooting out of the side of this car. And
all right, yeah, that's up.
so these are the traditional ways of going that fast, and there's some statistics that are interesting with top fuel dragsters. They accelerate so quickly that the dragster's rear wheels have already passed the 60 mile per hour mark by the time the rear wheels have crossed the starting line, about 300 inches. What's also fascinating is these things are powered by only a 500 cubic inch V8 that's based on the architecture of the 60s Chrysler Hemi engines. The engine block, though, is actually machined out of a solid billet aluminum chunk with no water jackets, and it's cooled by incoming fuel. Now, bear in mind, this thing only has to operate for a second or less. So you're not looking at major heat buildup over long term. But they also, because these things got so fast, apparently the National Hot Rod Association had to shorten the length of the timed portion of these events from its top classes to run from quarter mile, which is 1,320 feet, to 1,000 feet. But still, with nearly 10,000 horsepower in this ICE engine, they can max out to over 330 miles an hour, which is the reason they need parachutes to try to stop. So it'll be a while before EVs get, I think, to that level, and ICE vehicles at least looks like they are still going to rule the 0 to 60 times. Got a question from YouTube, Core Glass. Hi, what do I think of the different types of EV charger connectors? What's your favorite and why? My favorite has to be the Tesla Trident connector. It's probably one of the simplest connectors made. Even the J1772 looks like a bunch of pins and a bunch of large connector design. Europe, of course, has their own standard, which is even larger. But I think my favorite has to be the Tesla, what's called a Trident connector, which is what came after the Roadster. The original Roadster charge connector was pretty substantial as well, and very proprietary, and no one adopted that standard. Got a question from YouTube from Steve Rose. Hi, Steve Rose from Las Vegas. Have you heard any news about the Gen 2 Roadster production dates? Well, the only information I have is there is a facility within Tesla that is dedicated to working on this car. And Tesla, for whatever reason, is keeping pretty close-lipped about any kind of progress that they're making. But I can assure you that it is being worked on. It will be released at some point, and it's not going to die of neglect. Another question from YouTube, Core Glass again. Also, do I think that the fastest regular use charger for cars, or what do I think that the regular use charger for cars will be in 2040? I think in 2040, we'll probably laugh at people plugging their cars into any kind of cable, because the new technology that is emerging that makes much more sense is the wireless charge method, where they use inductive coupling to transfer energy. And again, there are already places in the world where they're testing these in roadways, and wouldn't it be cool to never have to stop for a charge, because the street you're driving down is actually providing charge for your electric vehicle.
So you think that's going to be the way we go, as opposed to maybe swapping batteries or something like that 20 years from now?
Yeah, I believe the battery swap idea is a novel idea, but the logistics are just daunting. And so it looks like where we're headed is in this inductive coupling or in this wireless charging design. And 2040, remember, is a long time. That's a long ways away based on the exponential changes we're seeing in this whole technology emerging and changing. YouTube, Aaron, hello, I'm currently on the wait list to get my Tesla fixed from Gruber. I'm wondering if you know if the repair will impact my regular value or my ability to trade in my car to Tesla. Well, we're hoping that we clear our backlog, and we work on it every single day, I assure you. Will it change the value on your vehicle? That's going to be up to market conditions. I think that based on what we're beginning to see percolate again with the potential for fuel cost increases. I mean, OPEC, for example, cutting production. What are they thinking? This is the wrong time to cut production, OPEC. This is the time to help the very same people that have protected you for decades. Now is the time to give us a hand and help us get past this temporary disruption in fuel prices. All right, that's my opinion, guys. You can weigh in on that if you like. I have a question from YouTube, Pablo Damon. What happens to used EV batteries? Are they recycled into new EV batteries? Keep watching, because one of the agenda items on here is we're going to talk about recent advances in battery recycling, and it's pretty dramatic and pretty exciting. I have a question from YouTube from Darren N. again. Have you heard anything about the Tesla truck being able to float in water? Yeah, in our last podcast, we actually discussed the Cybertruck and Elon's claim that this thing could probably be turned into a boat. It would be pretty cool. Again, an EV doesn't have the same constraints that an ICE vehicle does, because it doesn't breathe, it doesn't inhale, it doesn't need any kind of an intake. So you could conceptually seal an EV to the point where you can turn it into a boat. All right, we have another article here about Tesla in New Mexico. And I was shocked when I heard this. Tesla actually developed a workaround in New Mexico to develop a sales showroom to sell their vehicles, because New Mexico still doesn't let them sell their vehicles or create service centers. So the workaround is what the gaming industry has been doing for decades now, which is taking their activity to tribal land. The tribal process does not have the same constraints as the states. So you can get away with a lot of stuff, such as legalized gambling. Well, it turns out Tesla actually had to develop their sales and service organization on tribal land in order to circumvent these silly, outdated NADA restrictions on selling electric vehicles or vehicles directly to end users. There's a powerful lobby in the United States called NADA, which has been controlling or mandating that the states cannot allow a producer of a vehicle to sell directly to the end users, which in this day and age is completely antiquated, because we're used to buying things online. We're used to buying things directly from the producers. The parasitic elements involved are no longer necessary and are dying rapidly. But because of powerful lobbying, it is still in place. I was also shocked to find that there are still 10 states in the United States that prohibit direct sales. And this affects not just Tesla, this affects all of the new emerging EV manufacturers. So complain to your legislators, and let's see if we can get these antiquated laws finally off the books. This particular Tesla facility, by the way, is located on the Namby Falls Travel Center, which is in a building that is also a casino. No surprise there. Prospective owners, they say, can also take test drives out of this new location in New Mexico. So let's help the conversion to EVs occur by getting rid of these silly, antiquated laws. We have another question from Core Glass on YouTube. Do I think that EV charger stations are good business? Absolutely. That's the gas station of the future. That's where people are going to go to buy energy to continue to drive their vehicles. Whether that's a subscription-based thing once we get to inductive coupling type charging, or whether you actually drive somewhere and, heaven forbid, get a battery swap, or sit there with a cord plugged into your car waiting for a charge so that you can continue. All of that, I think, will be antiquated within the next decade.
Yeah, Pete, I was thinking about this the other day. Wouldn't it be cool if places like Denny's, where you could pull in and park your car, were to put charging stations in there?
Totally, yes. You combine
Or not Denny's, I'm sorry, Sonic.
Sonic? Oh, Sonic would be good too. Yeah, I think any of the restaurants. Of course, the malls are already doing it. That's one of the ways to attract customers. Hotels have figured that out a long time ago. You can get luxury car people to come to your hotel by giving them free charging. And of course, that will just accelerate as time goes on. It looks like as of October 9th, Tesla delivered 83,000 Chinese-made electric vehicles in September, smashing its monthly record. This marks an 8% increase from August of this year. And it looks like the Chinese are definitely interested in Tesla EVs. The previous record was 78,000 in June. And anyway, it looks like globally, of course, Tesla said last week that they delivered 343,000 EVs in the third quarter, which was, again, breaking a record, but Wall Street did not think so, and Tesla stock is still within buying territory. I think I saw it this morning at $220 a share. I never thought it would get that low again. So this was EV delivery in China is on the heels of a upgrade that Shanghai plant went through in July, which has given them the capacity to do 22,000 units per month now, compared to 17,000 prior to the upgrade at the factory in Shanghai. All right, got another bit of news here. It looks like Rivian is having some technical problems, and shares of Rivian yesterday closed down 7.3% after the electric vehicle auto manufacturer recalled nearly all of its vehicles, of course spooking investors and also creating concern that they may not be able to meet their 2023 production targets. They said that Rivian's capitalization dropped more than $2 billion in one day because of this issue. They recalled 13,000 vehicles due to a possible loose fastener that could cause the driver to lose steering control. And they said that this is basically all of the vehicles that they have ever produced. They have delivered 13,198 vehicles so far. We've been talking for some time about the fact that these new EV manufacturers are going to go through some growing pains. Tesla went through it as well until their production processes and their QC processes mature. No manufacturer likes to do recalls, but they are responsible enough to take care of their customers when a recall is necessary. And I assure you that it is extraordinarily painful for a company to recall all of the vehicles that they have released. But because of the safety issue involved, it's a responsible way for them to handle it rather than to ignore it, gloss it over, and pretend it doesn't exist. So hats off to Rivian, and we hope you make it. We have another section here, but I'm going to entertain a question first from TikTok, from Ensaman411. What do I think about Edison Motors diesel over electric heavy haul truck prototype? Well, I don't know much about the Edison Motors product, but I understand that Tesla and Pepsi have begun to release some of the semis, and it will change transportation substantially. From an emissions standpoint, of course, that will be major because a lot of our goods and transport over semi-trucks crisscrossing the United States or the world for that matter. So any new EV manufacturer focused on creating alternative energy and sustainable energy type products is welcome in our mind, or in my mind. Looks like we have a picture popped up here. This is the Edison vehicle. It is. Looks like a Peterbilt to me. At least they kept it looking somewhat like a diesel engine truck. Tesla's Semi looks more futuristic. It's a bit more aerodynamic as well. All right, I've got an image of a plant that I want you to look at. And this is it up yet, guys? Yep. Redwood Materials is actually started and owned by J.B. Strobel, who was one of the original Tesla founders and actively involved in Tesla for 14 years as Chief Technology Officer. He was involved in the Tesla Roadster design. He then later went on to the Model 3 and the Gigafactory, Tesla's Gigafactory, which is a collaboration between Panasonic and Tesla, making batteries in Nevada. What Redwood is doing most recently is they're developing a Campus One site under construction also in northern Nevada, and it will be producing product by the end of this year, by 2022. Product that will be returned to the Gigafactory, Tesla's Gigafactory. And what's cool about this is everybody's concerned about all of these batteries. What are we going to do with all these EV batteries that are going defective eventually? What's going to happen to them? Well, this plant is a closed-loop site which encompasses recycling, refining, and the remanufacturing has no waste streams. Now, this is significant because it keeps the planet clean, and if it's a closed-loop system, this product is going to be fed back to the very same companies that have created the scrap or the excess material in the first place. So let's get a quote here. Tesla's co-founder and former chief technology officer, J.B. Strobel, has tasked himself with the development and deployment of battery recycling technologies. And as we pointed out, he is a veteran in the battery sector. He was behind some of the most notable battery-related achievements, from cell design for Tesla, and then the trademark Gigafactory concept. They say that more than 90% of the critical materials in these batteries could be reused many times without degradation. So not only will this be recycled once, but over and over and over again. It also says that quite a bit of this battery recycling helps the environment in some other ways. Currently, some of the raw materials to build these batteries come from Asia. They're the copper foil and the anode experts. Then there's the raw materials, the lithium-ion mines in South America. And if you think about the amount of costs involved in getting materials to any place that is manufacturing batteries, that's definitely what is contributing to the higher cost of batteries. With this closed-loop recycling option now, this should begin to reduce the cost of batteries, which, by the way, are about 30 to 40% of an electric vehicle's overall cost. I'm sorry, 20 to 30%. So we're definitely looking forward to this plant coming back online, and they have the right guy at the helm who has a lot of experience with this type of production. We have a YouTube question. What is our opinion, or my opinion, on Aptera Motors? We were actually going to include them in this podcast, but we're going to be talking about them in the Thursday morning podcast. My personal opinion on the car is it is revolutionary. It is more aerodynamic than Tesla. It's a three-wheeler. They're incorporating some really futuristic design elements into the vehicle, including the ability to harness energy through solar cells in the car. Not quite enough yet to have it 100% recapture. You still need to charge the car, but it definitely contributes to the energy reduction necessary to drive one of these cars. I understand they also have a number of pre-orders, and it's numbering like 30,000 vehicles. So it looks to be a pretty popular concept. Do we have any other questions?
Not at the moment. I have a question for you, Pete.
All right.
So I was gone for a few days at a wedding, and I was telling some of my family members what I do for a living, kind of explaining the future of electric vehicles and stuff like that. A lot of people I was talking to were older. They were in their 60s, 70s, and not a single one of them believed me when I said that by about 2035, pretty much all auto manufacturers and a lot of the states are going to be EV only. So do you think it's realistic? Because a lot of people seem to think that it's not, to make that change in the next decade.
Well, there are a lot of concerns about these deadlines that have been communicated by not only the car manufacturers that by 2030, 2035, 2040, they're going to be 100% EV, but also the state of California that it's not going to allow the sale or production of any more ICE vehicles by 2035. The big concern is the electrical grid, and we released a video a couple of weeks ago that provided some insight into whether a grid, the global electrical grid, will be able to handle this huge influx of additional demands on the power grids. I think it's an attainable goal. I believe that technology tends to spawn a lot of innovation, and I believe that it's attainable.
What's a needed goal too, right? To correct the trajectory we're on.
Well, yes, a good point. We're seeing weather anomalies now that are unprecedented. I don't think too many people are denying global warming anymore. And in order to get this planet back on track, these kinds of changes are absolutely essential. Some people even feel that it may already be too late and we've reached the tipping point. But we have to remain optimistic. We live on this planet. And at this point, Elon hasn't provided enough rockets for us to colonize Mars. So we're going to have to remain optimistic and do everything that we can to attain these types of goals. I have a question from YouTube Shorts. Welcome. BG Sound, do you think a weather-safe home wireless charging pad for a Tesla car, not a phone in a Tesla, will become available? Of course. It is the future. The question is, when will it become available? The technology and the methodology already exists. It's how quickly we can put it into production, make it economically feasible to produce. And so that's the burning question. We have a question from YouTube, Mitchell Barnow. Is that Maximilian Gruber behind the scenes talking? Maximilian Gruber, by the way, is my youngest son. I have 6 kids, and he does some of our YouTube or some of our videos on TikTok, Instagram. He's not doing any voiceovers for me yet, but he definitely is part of our social media team and doing a good job of keeping our viewers and our audiences entertained and informed. All right, guys, I am out of questions. I am out of content. Unless anything last minute comes in, I think we're going to wrap up this show. We've got some exciting things happening next week. We've got a new co-host that's going to be joining us. He's also passionate about alternative energy and electric vehicles. So I'll have a non-silent partner up here. Bob has been filling in fairly well, but he never really contributes much, if you've noticed. Our next podcast is Thursday morning at 8:30 Mountain Standard Time. We're going to try to release another video this week, hopefully the Roadster Gallery series.
We have some cool drone footage too that'll be coming out here.
The drone footage, yes. Believe it or not, this guy came in. He had a drone that was about the size of a dinner plate. He had modified the camera system on it so that he had a tiny GoPro mounted without any weight. And he was actually able to fly this drone through our service center, getting into the nooks and crannies of things. And the results are stunning. We're going to be releasing that and showing you what our new service center looks like and what kind of infrastructure we have there.
All right, there's one more question up there. We got about 6 minutes left if you want to take it.
Sure. Question from YouTube, Rick Sign. I had heard somewhere online that here in the U.S. we have a huge deposit of lithium located at the Badlands. Do you know if this is true? I haven't heard that, but that would be interesting. It will probably be in competition with this new recycling effort, which once this is launched, may solve the problems. We'll need some new product, of course, or some new minerals inserted into that process. But yeah, I have not heard about it and would love to get more information. So if anybody wants to chime in, this would be a good time. One other thing I wanted to share with you is we had a Roadster show up yesterday, Tesla Roadster. And we get some really over-the-top Roadsters. And when we do, we usually do videos and we share them with our viewers. But this one was actually a Founders Series Roadster. Let me explain a bit. In the world of Tesla Roadsters, there were engineering prototypes. These were test mules. There were validation prototypes, again, test cars. And then they began to release Roadsters, and the Founders Series were the first. These were the cars that were reserved for the VIPs that helped Tesla get started. Then we had the Signature Series Roadsters, which in the US were limited to 100 cars, and in Europe, 250 cars. And these were the first released vehicles with a little carbon fiber plaque between the seats with autographs of the first 200 or so Tesla employees. Each one was serialized, numbered, and you could even put your name into that carbon fiber plaque. So what we received yesterday was a Founder Series VIN number 3. And for us, it's always breathtaking to view one of these vehicles because you know that they were there during the early formative days at Tesla. So we'll have some more information about that vehicle for all of you interested in some Tesla history, and most likely do a video on that one as well. We have a TikTok question from Surin. Hi from Kurdistan. Welcome. He says, I love your work. Well, thank you for joining us. So again, it looks like we're going to wrap up this session, and we appreciate all of you joining us. We're going to invite our LinkedIn friends to join us on the next podcast and again, increase the audience. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.